Hey guys. All right, I wasn't expecting to get all of those testimonials or even have any tears, so we'll just kind of pause here and take a minute now. Steve, are you there?
I'm here, sure.
Okay. Let me see if I can get you to the top of the screen here. Can you pen yourself?
Let's see. Hang on a second. How about that? No. Yeah, I clicked pin, so I think I'm there. I don't know.
Okay. We'll evolve to that point.
Okay.
So excuse me, I'm going to be on two different computers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're almost an air traffic controller here trying to control that many computer screens at one time. I do a lot of video conferences, and I stick to the simple stuff, just one screen at a time. So, you know, you're a superstar, so I'm glad to see that you're going out there and trying to do the next level. Technology, I'm just like, got that point where I'm good enough at it. And if I go past it, I always find out that I'm clicking the wrong buttons, and I'm afraid I'm going to blow up the world or something. So I kind of fall back to what I know, you know.
Right.
You did a great job on putting all the video and everything together. We publish authors from all over the world, and you have just done an absolutely extraordinary job getting your launch together, and it's just been a great pleasure working with you and seeing the number of people, of course, in your life that are so supportive of you. And that, to me, is always a representation of how much you have already touched their lives with your insights and your servant heart. So congratulations for all that. It's really great to see that many people behind you.
Thank you.
So, when we do a lot of our author interviews, we always are interested in, a little bit of background to begin with, that where you came from and how you got to this point, kind of right up to the point of what gave you the idea of launching a book and what is the message. So that's really question 2 and 3. But what is it, for maybe those individuals that are part of your life but maybe don't know kind of a Reader's Digest version of how did you become who you are?
Wow. I think the biggest piece to, without telling the whole all-American girl story of where I'm from and all of those things, I think the biggest piece, I pretty much lay out that full snapshot, in a sense, in the book. And that's, I've become who I am now because of some great people along the way. And I mean, if I had to mention, everybody that was involved in the process, then, the book would be like probably stacks, it'd be volumes. And, I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be affiliated with some really great people, and they have shaped who I am. And I think the turning point for me happened, I think mostly everyone knows that I got an injury at work and had this foolproof plan of what I was going to do. I was going to go to school for anesthesia, and those are the things, I'm kind of that plan A, B, and C, and realizing that, ultimately that wasn't my plan and that wasn't my purpose, and my purpose being to lead people was challenged and questioned. Okay, now that I'm not in front of people, now what? So I think that's what ultimately led me to saying, okay, now this whole 20-year journey of wanting to be an author did not come for no reason. It came because I had been dragging my feet the entire time, and my story was meant to be told, whether one person listened and one person wanted to know, or 20 people. So that's ultimately, with the help of some of the mentors that I mentioned, which, a couple of them are on the Zoom, are just phenomenal people.
Right.
And ultimately just the people that, the family and friends that surround me, that not just, they could care less about probably that I wrote a book. They just know me for me, but the people that may have been in the same situation or thinking about being an author, whatever it is, needed to hear that and maybe needed to hear my story and situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is one of the things I think is part of the mission of what we do as a publishing company is a lot of people are like, how do we go through our vetting process and why do we choose the authors that we do? And, I go back to the process that you had after you'd done your initial application and you and I did a pretty lengthy interview. One of the things that jumps out to us that we're searching for is an individual that has a servant leader's heart. And that's something that as you and I were discussing and talking about the possibility of you becoming a featured author in your own book, that just jumped, really head and shoulders above everything else. And I guess after going through the thousands of applications and the hundreds of interviews that I go through over the last 2.5 years, I know how to hear and at the same time see when someone like yourself just has that perfect frequency. It's a resonance. And that's why I think that I know you would be absolutely, I guess I would say, maybe not satisfied, but you would be comfortable if your book just touched one person's life. But I truly believe with the motivation and the level of work ethic that you have, that your book is going to touch a whole lot more people than just one. So my hat's off to you. You've just done an awesome job.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm already done with my first or second ebook.
When do you sleep, I guess is my question, because I see you've done a great job. You worked with your videographer, then you've done this great PowerPoint presentation, which I'm pretty good on PowerPoint, so I can tell when someone else is either good or bad, and you just did the next level up. So congratulations.
Thank you. I can't take credit for that. I got a great friend, a group of people and team of people and friends, and there's just PowerPoint and all of those things are definitely not my forte, but I can tell you that sleep sometimes is overrated when you have so much to say, and this just you just opened up the gate for me, and I think the next moment is like, okay, well, the second one's already done. It's almost ready to be uploaded, and now how quickly can I work on the third?
You're exactly right, and that's one of the key things that I try to help remind our authors as they're going through the production stage, and then all of a sudden they become published, the press releases go out, they're seen on major media networks, and they get the response from their general social media environment, and they're pinching themselves, going, I can't believe, 90 or 120 days ago I was selected, now I'm published, now I've been press released all over the world, and I'm doing a book launch like this, and they're pinching themselves, and I'm going, but yes, that's a milestone, but that's just the springboard. There is so much more. This is only the part of us helping you when you have such an incredible story and an incredible heart to help other people and make the world a better place. This is just us basically catapulting you to the altitude that you're supposed to be at. And that's really what we do at Success Publishing, is we're just the booster or the springboard that just gets you into the launch, to get you to have that altitude so that your message and who you are has so much more, what I would call, range when it broadcasts. That way it can touch more people's lives. So it's really fantastic for us when we get a chance to work with someone absolutely as awesome as you are. And I'm dying to see, I wish I could hit the fast forward button and jump out a year and 5 years and 10 years and to see where you're going to be at, because it's going to be awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for your support. And I could not have done any of it, obviously, without you all at Success Publishing. And just your mentorship has just been amazing. It's not been a minute that I haven't been able to just call you or shoot you a message, and you're right there. And, just even, make an emergency task, and whatever it is, I appreciate that because you've given me that opportunity and that vehicle to pretty much ignite what was inside of me the entire time. So thank you for that. And yeah, we'll definitely we'll be on here again for the next ebook. So
for sure, for sure. So let me ask you now that you have all your hard work combined. Of course, you're basically launching right now, so that's the next milestone. Okay, so now you're published. You've got your books in your hand. I saw your video the other day of you unboxing your first copy and everything. So I guess my fourth question is going to be, what's the next milestone? But let's back up to question number 2, and let's talk about what it is that was your message that you wanted to deliver and really inspired you so much that you were actually searching for a way to become published, and that's what connected us. I don't believe there's no such thing as coincidences. It's that you were looking for the vehicle, we were looking for the right quality of individual. We came together, and of course, we've now completed this outcome. But what is it that caused you to want to serve and help other people? What is that message that you actually wrote about in your book?
Well, my chapter was Choose Mentors and Appreciate Failure, and it's that very thing. And I think sometimes when we fail at something, especially when you're naturally gifted at things, or you do things without thinking about it, you don't expect failure, and you don't expect things to happen to you. No one wants anything negative to happen, but when they do, sometimes people can take failure and say, I'm not going to try again. And I've had opportunities where that didn't specifically work, and there were times where I was just like, I'm not going to keep going, and it's just disheartening. And sometimes, especially now, even the climate now, there's so many people that, maybe without jobs or business didn't do well, and ultimately just taking failure and saying, okay, I'm done. But a lot of times that failure really helps us to not only learn, but it helps us to just be successful the next time. Well, how do you learn if you don't start somewhere? And how do you really become a success if you don't fail at something to know that it's a success at all? So I've experienced a lot of failure in my life, whether it was, as a basketball coach or a business owner, whatever it was. And it wasn't until I started to really appreciate, well, wait a minute, and even coming full circle now, a lot of people will read and be like, she's a nurse and she was a basketball coach and business. I'm like, well, how does all of that tie in? And honestly, I didn't know until just recently, and it really took the injury and the failure of not being able to be where I envisioned at that time to now everything just started to come into place. And it was just about realizing, wait a minute, my purpose is to lead people and help people, and I've always known that was my passion. And until then, it needed to happen. And so my message is really mostly about appreciating the failures, but also understanding you can't do it yourself. Yeah. And there's a reason why you have people in your life. Some people you just celebrate when they leave your life, and then there's just some people that you need to understand they do come into your life for a reason. And like, for example, I talked about Molly Aru in my chapter, and the very first time that I met her, it was just really just a quick 2-minute time, and ultimately she had enough time to stop, and in her heels just bless me with a smile, and then the next time it's like, hey, let's make it happen. And so there's things and people that come into place that you don't realize until later on. Dr. Holly Madison, one of my instructors for my master's class, it's very interesting because of the fact that her journey now is now being over a doctoral program, which I'm in. So I'm glad I treated her nice, I guess. I think that's just the thing. You just don't know who's going to come along, but understand no matter how big you get, you still need a mentor. The coach needs the coach. So.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, I think what's interesting is when you have in a similar situation, I went through my failures in life and thought, oh, getting up to that position where I had crossed a business marker that I had set in my late teens, and I crossed it when I was 30 years old, had my own business and made the income level and so forth. And I thought I had already done all of the difficulties in life of climbing up that mountain just to get to the top of it. And I thought this is the peak experience, life from here is going to be good and great. And I had no idea the hurricane that was sitting just beyond the horizon.
yeah.
And of course, when it hit my life, it destroyed everything. And when someone has been through those levels of trials and tribulations, and they've been tested, and they have been beat up to the point to where they felt like their soul was going to, when they call it soul wrenching, but when you feel like you are at that point that you don't want to break, you just have to break. You can't go any further. And until someone has had a life experience like what you're talking about, the numbers that you have, and the event that actually changed the course of your life, then you really aren't prepared to lead.
Right.
And so it's incredible to hear how you've had these different aspects of your life as a coach, as an entrepreneur, coming up as a nurse and working in the healthcare industry, and wondering how they seem to be so disconnected. And then one event in your life marries all of them together, and they become the tapestry that is now your life. And because of all of those that culminated in the setback, which has now become your leap forward, had that not occurred, had you not gone through each one of those and experienced those, then what you are now prepared to do, you would not be ready. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think ultimately the purpose has been the same. The vehicle was just different, and my passion is teaching and training and developing others, and whether it came in the form of a basketball or a stethoscope, or writing a chapter or writing 15 chapters, it's all the same. And again, I needed to go through all of the experiences that I did in order to help the people that I help now. So it was very, very pertinent.
And I think what you're talking about here is the frequency or the resonance that comes from you, and that servant leadership that I talk about. You pick it up when someone else has been in the same environment. It's kind of like you recognize the rank. It's something invisible, but you kind of intuit it. You pick up the vibe. And I think that's something because of the difficulties you have been through life. When you were saying about, making your plans, and what's the saying about we make our plans and then God laughs, or something like that? Because, God knows that, well, just because you made it doesn't mean that's the ultimate that I had for you. So hang on, I'm going to upset you a little bit to see what you're made of.
Right.
So, when you've done coaching before, you always get to find out what the quality of the player is, not when everything is working right and everybody's doing the right pick and roll and everybody's jumper is doing correct, but you find out who your best player is when everybody's off, when everybody's having a bad night, when the other team just seems like they're killing you, and you're seeing the point spread go 10 and then 20, and then you find out, really, when you sit on the bench, you find out which ones are already ready to say, oh, that's it, we've lost the game. And then you find out which ones are sitting there going, no, we're going to get it back together, we're going to get our shot on, we're going to get our plays back correctly, we're going to adjust to what this other team is doing that's beating our offense. And has there been any kind of situation like that you were in, that you felt that you just, found that, how do they call it? The French call it the je ne sais quoi, something that's undescribable. How do you describe that, and where have you been that you touched that?
Well, I think I was talking with someone the other day, and they were asking, how can they, get up early or something, if they're not a morning person, and I just said, we have this, what happens if I make this arrogant assumption, that I'm going to have another opportunity. And the thing about that is that you go through life and you go through different seasons. And so yes, I've experienced a lot of times where things have gone right, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of like I hit a wall. It's like, wait, where did that come out of? I was doing, what I was supposed to do. And I will say that what's changed all of that is that when you found your purpose and you found your gift, what I've learned through all of this is it's not really what I do, it's the person that I am, and it's the journey and learning along the way, because it's kind of not, people expect, this straight line, and really it's just like this, and it's kind of like, okay, well, what next? Mm-hmm. And so, again, that one of my favorite quotes is adversity reveals true character. And so, yeah, I think for me it's no different. I'm just just like anybody else that has, aspirations and dreams. My brain just happens to be on overdrive compared to maybe some other people. But yeah, absolutely, I've experienced failure, and I've experienced times where it's like, well, what's really going on, and what's next? Especially when you don't expect, again, I didn't expect to have, be injured.
Sure.
And even still today, I didn't expect that. And so the question is, what next? What are you going to do? You can choose to let that overcome you, or you can do something with it.
So let's kind of drill down into what you're talking about right there, because regardless of what your backgrounds have been in different areas of your life, what you're touching on right there is your formula, your syntax that has allowed you to achieve great levels of success in multiple areas. And now you're embarking on a new journey. But what is it that you say to yourself? Is it self-talk? Is it a little video or a movie clip that comes into your mind when you feel you're at that final point where that wall, like you said, comes out of nowhere and you just crash into it? What inspires you? What motivates you when you're laying there on the ground and it hurts? It hurts bad. Your soul just feels like, oh, this is it. What gets you back up?
Well, there's something inside me that won't let me just stay there. And I have had times where I don't want to get up, or that's been low. But I think it's just in me. It's my spirituality, it plays a big part of that, because I've had friendships and relationships and things that you felt like, okay, the person was going to be there for you, or you were going to get this, I was going to get this job or this opportunity, and it didn't work. And so again, it falls in line with the failure. And what makes me go is, I want to be able to leave a legacy for my family, for my kids.
There it is.
And also, too, it's just this burning desire. It's like I have to understand that I was put here to help others. So this is the reason why I wrote the book as well. I couldn't very well say, achieve the things that you want to achieve if I've been waiting for 20 years and now I can't use the excuse of I don't have the time. Right. So if I'm going to teach others and know that I was put here to help others be successful, then it's just that little voice that just doesn't let me sit still. And it's just there. It's the gift that's inside me that just really doesn't go away.
So if I guess I know I have a number of questions here. I don't want to feel like I'm interrogating you, because you've got so much great comment here. I guess my last question I want, and maybe this is our most important question, is how do you, with your expertise, this voice, this motivation, and you even call it a gift, how do you explain that, and how do you take your gift and pay it forward so that you plant that seed that was once planted in you from somewhere? how do you duplicate that? How do you inspire and motivate other people so they get back up from their experience where that wall comes out of nowhere? What is it that you would give them that you want? It's the reason why you wrote the book. It's the reason why you exist. What is that, and can you bring it down to the point of here it is, here's the seed, and this is what makes me get up, and if you do this same thing, the syntax will work the same?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Steve, is that everybody has their own purpose. And I think it just boils down to that, because we can talk about, I was working with a young lady the other day, a young entrepreneur, and she couldn't tell me why she signed up to be in the business that she was in.
Right.
And it turned out that she really didn't like most of the things anyway. It didn't really align with what her true vision and passion and purpose was. And I feel like once you learn that, it's just, you can't even keep it to yourself. It just comes out of your body, your skin. It just can't happen. I tried not to cry on the video testimonials. I'm not an emotional person either, but I mean, again, it's just, people feel what you feel, and so if they know that, I truly have a heart and compassion and purpose for helping, then yes, I mean, I think that in itself will allow people to understand that I'm coming from a position of really wanting to help. But in terms of just saying, hey, this is the seed, this is the formula, this is why I wrote the Limitless Success. This is why I wrote the chapter there, because those are the two things that I can say, two of the things that have helped me along the way. And so we don't have this, there's, everybody has their own success or formula for success, but, if you do nothing, then obviously that's not successful unless that is ultimately your goal. But if you're trying to reach a different level, the very first thing is let's identify what your purpose is, and then from here, mentors, and understand that no one really gets things on their first try. I mean, you're not gonna, get on a motorcycle today and think you're gonna, ride in a motorcycle group. It's not gonna happen. So it's, again, being realistic, but also knowing your purpose and being ready to experience failure, because that's ultimately what leads you. I mean, I can't remember how many people, I was reading this article about Mr. Dyson and how he had, I don't even know, it's like 24,000 failed attempts before he came up with the vacuum cleaner that he did. And while most people could have given up, he was insistent on it. And so that's part of it, your purpose and understanding that you don't get anywhere without the help of others along the way.
And I think that's really what comes out in who you are and how I've got to know you, is that you're inquisitive, and you're inquisitive because it is part of your formula. And sometimes I can pick it out because I'm objective. I'm sitting outside, and you have become you. It's so natural for you. Just like you explained this young lady that you were speaking with, and you found out that the company she was in, she was not aligned with that. The way you found that out is because you asked her questions, and you kept using the most important question, which is why. And that drills down level after level after level, and most people in our world never get past the top level. No one ever takes the time and has the care to continue to ask why and drill down till you find the core and root. And what you found was that she wasn't aligned with what she was doing. That was the reason why she's not succeeding. And ultimately, what you find that the root is, it's called your passion. Well, you know what your passion is, and what you know or what you do, because you understand how to touch that fuel inside of you that constantly gives you the energy when you feel you can't go anymore. You are also doing that same thing, just like, as a healthcare professional, you walk into someone and you don't go in there and just make a judgment and start writing a script. You have to ask them the question yet. You don't know what the pain is. You don't know what the symptoms are. And until you go through those questioning process, because you care, because you want them to have greater level of health and fitness and success and an outcome that is something other than mediocrity.
Right.
That's exactly what you're doing. And then the next step is you're saying, okay, once we find your passion, once we find what your real drivers are, what your outcome that you want, and you align the passion with your outcome, now you have your second part, which is you got to have your mentors. You
Right.
got to have the people that took a similar path, and you can take their patterns and apply those similar patterns to your life. Guess what you're going to get?
Right, exactly.
You're going to get a lot of momentum, and in fact, it may be that's exactly what you need to get you the majority of the direction. The last part, you'll figure it out. That comes from experience.
Right, right.
How awesome.
Yeah, and I'm going to take some questions from everybody that's there, but I think you made a very good point. Again, me as a leader is just being a servant leader. My absolute favorite author is Atul Gawande, and he's a medical doctor, and he talks about how, I mean, you ever been to the doctor, Steve, and the doctor doesn't even touch people anymore. He just goes and, types on his laptop and, okay, what's going on? Okay, here's a prescription. And they've lost the sense of touch. And for me, ultimately, it's why I don't work with a lot of people, because of the fact that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were meant to work. We were meant to work together. We don't know until we find the root of it, because I didn't always know what my purpose was. I knew what things I was good at and what things I wanted to do and how I wanted to be a success, but I also didn't know what my true purpose was. And once that started to happen, that's when I started to really experience success. And it just, again, sometimes it comes from sitting down, touching people. I mean, I know we're in coronavirus, social distancing, but in the sense of just really sitting down to understand people and why they do what they do and what it is that they want goes a long way.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys have some questions, go ahead and send me a couple questions in the chat. We're going to get moving here quickly. We have a couple minutes before we go. I know we started late. My apologies. Let me know if you have some questions. I have a couple winners before everybody goes. I want to announce some winners of, we've got $25 gift certificates to Amazon. All right, so the first one was, and these people have already been contacted, so I don't know who's on here. Kathy Edmondson, she won $25 gift card, and then Lisa Brown, and then David Moore, and then Keisha McClish. So those 4 people have won $25 gift card, so while we're waiting. So any questions we got, guys? Type them in the chat privately to me. So when did you decide to be an author? I wanted to be an author, it's been actually over 20 years ago, and I just, maybe wrote a few things here or there, and it really didn't click until not only the injury, but a very good friend and mentor of mine, Melody Kashumba, says, you can voice transcribe, you can just voice your book, and it's like a light bulb just went on. I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I can run my mouth effectively, so maybe that will keep me from procrastinating. And once I had the injury, I didn't have any excuse anymore in terms of getting it done. So it just it's a 20-year thing, but I'm glad and grateful now. Okay, let's see. Do you have one event that helped me to pivot back to my passion? I don't know if it was one specific event. Just, I think what happened was, again, the injury made me realize, okay, well, wait a minute. So this is either a setback that is going to result in me taking that opportunity to go back to where I was, or me realizing, hang on, it just my purpose just started to just come as a result of being forced to do something else. And the social distancing gave me an opportunity to get back into doing self-development, to writing, to doing all of the things that I want to do. And unfortunately, my doctoral papers are not what I want to do, and so I had to do that as well. But writing the book gave me an opportunity just to really put those things out that had been there the entire time. So the one thing would be the injury, but overall I think it's just a culmination of all of the different things that have happened to me and for me over the last 10 years just kind of coming into place. And then, okay, congrats again. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap up here, guys. I appreciate everybody coming to the book launch, and it's just, the support has been amazing. You guys know, I think Jesse's on here, you know that I don't like soppy, cheesy things or things that make me cry, but the testimonials were amazing. I know there were a lot of people that weren't able to get into the Zoom today for whatever reason, had some technical difficulties. We actually have like 25 people sitting in the waiting room right now, but just the support has been amazing from the friends, from the nursing side, from the coaching side. I guess that's the positive to all of the things here, is that I appreciate it. Never did I think I was going to receive the support, and becoming an author really just made me aware that there were so many people that needed leadership and inspiration. So with that being said, my book, Limitless Success with Tonika Bruce, it's available on Amazon. I am getting ready to launch my next ebook project. I can't tell you the name of it yet, but I'm looking forward to announcing it to you guys first. And then the part that I want to just say to everybody outside of just thank you and for support, I just want to say, there is so much opportunity right now to just take all of the things that are going on in the world and just continue to just really focus on that. And then, again, you don't really have to say, what is it that I'm going to do in terms of, people ask me, what is a change agent? You don't really have to do something to incite change and incite emotion. And as a leader, I think part of being a leader and part of being someone that truly knows yourself is that you don't have to really do something that others see. And the book was that was not something meant for others to see, but if it's truly what's the right thing for you to do, or if it's truly meant, then others will see. And so you don't have to pick a side for things, and you don't have to go out and do things that's just the world to see in order to get out the things that are meant to be out. And that means like your gifts and your talents, whatever it is that's your gift, whatever it is that's your talent, then let it be that. If it's just, to make the best baked beans in the world, do that, because your gift always will make room for you. And whatever it is your passion, that will show. That will show in your heart. That will show in your everyday actions. You won't be able to sleep. You won't be able to, get up and, not run to it if it's something that's meant for you. So I think we have a couple more questions, and then I'll let everybody go. And then, so again, thank you guys. Let me see what's going. Thank you, Cheryl and Andy. I appreciate that, Andy. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Tina Johnson, that was Tina's music playing in the background. That was her music playing, guys. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so Okay, what is the name of your next ebook project? Okay, I can't answer that just yet. It will go out. If you guys check out my website, tonikabruce.com, or Network Nurse Books. You guys can go on there, and in the next week or so, I'll have it laid out with the title and the book cover and so forth, and then you have an opportunity to see all of those. And then one more. All right, the questions are coming quickly, guys. Hang on one second. All right, Carmen has a question. What was the first truly caring experience from your childhood that stayed with you to set you on my path? Oh, wow. That's a tough question. With my childhood. I'm not sure if that it's necessarily my childhood. I learned at age like 19 that I was a little bit different than everybody else. I guess I kind of have known that for a while, but around 19 I knew that I wasn't doing what all other 19-year-olds were doing. And then when I got to like 21, at that time I was running my own business, and most of the people my age, they were just either still playing, sports, or just kind of laughing and joking around. And I was, busy trying to create, businesses or develop mine. And, I couldn't stop thinking about what the next business or next opportunity was, not in a sense of greed, but I knew from a the people that are really, really close to me, they know that my brain doesn't shut off, in a sense of, I'll wake up in the morning and I have to actually turn my cell phone off and not look at email and all of those things, because my brain gets going, and I'll wake up from like 4 or 5 of the business ideas on my brain, and that started when I was at a very, very young age. So I think that is one of the biggest things that really just changed who I was, that stayed with me, that I had to just completely shut off. And it wasn't until I got into nursing school did a lot of those things revive. And it's just, until I embraced it, ultimately it's now shaped who I am, because now I understand that I am different than maybe the rest of the world in this sense, but also too, it's allowed me to just really fuel my passions and fuel all of the thoughts that I have. So, but I would have to say that I'm not sure necessarily I might maybe have too many childhood things that we'd be here all day. So I think that's don't shoot me if I didn't answer your question. I am going to make everybody on the screen, and let's get it on this computer. I'm going to get everybody here. Let's take another quick photo. Let's see if we can get everybody. I think we kind of did that already as the Zoom has been going, so just know you're getting your picture snapped. Anybody got? All right, good deal. Thank you guys so very much for being a part of my Zoom, and the best is yet to come. So my quote to end the deal is just enjoy the process and know that the best is yet to come. So if you're on this Zoom, that's going to you, and that's going to us, and if I can help you in any way, you know how to get a hold of me. So thank you guys. Have a great day, okay?